listening. No. I can see you, but not hear you. Yep.
Okay. Now can you hear me?
I'll wait for the time lag. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going through my regular mic. It's not going through the Focusrite. I have no idea why.
I mean, they can hear both of us, they say, so.
Great. Oh, let me try that. There we go.
Figured it out.
I had to reselect within Focusrite. I had to reselect Focusrite.
Okay. Yep, there you are.
Okay, great. And that's now the correct microphone instead of my computer one.
Excellent.
Ugh. Why is it so hard? Yeah. Whiny.
Why?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you that it should not change. If nothing else has changed, it should be the same, and it has not been.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we're picking it up on page 218. And Ulbury is about to talk. It's near the top of the page.
Yes.
Third paragraph. Mix Kuznetsova.
Okay. Oh, hang on. I have the YouTube page open, which means that it'll interfere with all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
All right, here we go.
On the other side, Piper snorted, shaking her head. She gave a nod to Aubrey, who hesitated before responding with a renewed smile for Halden.
Mix Kuznetsova. Your friend was looking for you about the tea time. Tea time? Sorry, that was completely the wrong voice for him.
Okay, tea time. Here we go.
The tea time.
Tea time? He stopped in the lobby and looked baffled. I don't have any plans for tea. My apologies, they were speaking of golf. Tea time. They looked back at the ostentatious paper notepad where they had written the message.
They looked back. Here we go.
Tea time.
They looked back at the ostentatious paper notepad where they had written the message. Mick Smith? Halden still looked baffled and then frightened. Smith? He turned to Piper. Smith? Tesla said. Annie or Jalna? Aubrey shook their head. No one from the yacht club. Piper stepped forward and set her cup of coffee on Aubrey's desk. When was this? About a half hour ago. One more time. About a half hour ago.
Okay.
When was this?
About a half hour ago. They consulted what looked like a paper planner, but it had smart ink controls on the edges.
They consulted. Here we go.
Half hour ago.
They consulted what looked like a paper planner, but it had smart ink controls at the edges. Specifically, 8:53 a.m. Piper nodded and scrolled through a couple of screens on her handheld. One she tapped 3 or 4 times and then sighed. Okay, old-fashioned way then. What did Mick Smith look like? They wore a courtesy mask but were European, I believe, with hair that was quite curly. Red, a natural red to my eye, but at the shoulders with layers. Freckles? About Mick Crane's height, perhaps? They looked at the ceiling as if trying to picture them more clearly. If I were supplying them with a complimentary t-shirt, I would guess that they were an XXL. Pronouns? They did not say. I am so sorry. Piper nodded, tapping her screen again. That could be Annie if she wore a wig and heels, although her skin was more olive than natural redhead. Definitely not Jalna. From where Tesla was standing, she could see Piper pulling faces together on the page, and it included Annie and Jalna. After a moment, she turned it to face Aubrey. Do you see Mick Smith here? Aubrey studied the screen, frowning, and then shook their head. I am sorry, I do not. You're sure? Oui? If I were to guess gender based on stereotypes, then I would have said that this passenger was a man. Thanks. Piper picked up her coffee mug and took a sip. Turning, she rejoined their group, looking at Halden. Ring any bells? No. I don't know anyone who looks like that. He swallowed, looking at Aubrey and then back at Piper. What is going on? Smith. Not Doe. Shal muttered and rubbed his ear for a moment before explaining a glance. Exchanging. Explaining the glances is my responsibility with exposition.
Sean muttered. No, let's head. Here we go.
His ear for a moment.
Sorry. Before exchanging is where I was.
Thank you.
Here we go.
His ear for a moment.
Before exchanging a glance with Piper. Let's head to his room. She nodded, guiding the drone forward. Tesla leaned on her cane as they followed Halden down the golden promenade to his room. They didn't talk about the mysterious note, but you didn't need to be a detective to tell that someone had just wanted to know if Halden were present. Passing Tesla and Shal's old cabin, it was weirdly hard not to notice the absence of blood. George Saikawa had died here, and her death was scrubbed from the ship as thoroughly as if it had never occurred. At the door next to their old cabin, Piper stopped Halden in the corridor. Why don't you let me go in first? You don't think? I don't know, and I don't like what I don't know. If I go in first, then we'll know. Shal grunted and stepped up to the side of Halden's cabin door. After my own heart, you want... She hesitated and shook her head. Best not, unless I call for you. Understood. The flatness of his expression said that he wasn't happy about it. Piper handed Shal her coffee. Don't spill that. It's the best goddamn coffee I've had, and I'm mad about it. I'm delighted to piss you off. Don't be sure about that. She used her key fob to unlock the door and pushed it open. Gimlet stood up, ready to go inside. Tesla tightened her grip on the dog and cane while they waited for Piper. Shal had his head tilted forward and down, eyes half closed as he listened. Tesla could really only hear the hum of the ship's environmental controls and the faint sound of laughter from the lounge. At the end of the hall, a laundry cart rested against one wall. The other direction turned before the curvature became clear and had nothing more threatening than a service drone and the art on the wall. Granted, it was the zombie squirrel painting, but there were no people or footprints or anything else that gave a sign of what they were waiting for. Piper reappeared in the doorway. So you really like towel animals, huh? Halden blushed. They're clever. They followed him into a suite with a floor plan that was the mirror of theirs, but done in blues and greens for Earth. Towel animals sat perched on chairs and counters. A bat hung from a coat hanger. There were more animals than days of voyage. Tesla paused next to a literal octopus of towels. Why do you have so many of them? I, complimented Jenny, my steward, and now she leaves 2 or 3 every time in little dioramas. He gestured to a set that had been crafted to look like a dinosaur surfing. I mean, look at that. It's art. It's a towel animal. Piper parked the service drone next to the room's wet bar. You want this here? Yes, thank you. Tesla sat down so that she could reach Gimlet's leash to unclip it. Don't be distracted by the medium. Just because it's untraditional doesn't make it less of an artistic expression. Halden tapped one of the bottles of rum. This is the one I saw the capsules in. Right. Tesla pulled the tablecloth off the contraption. Let's get... Damn it! I was afraid of that. The connection to the reader had an obvious break where the body weight of an exuberant teen...
That's great. Let's go back and get one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 pages up. Passing Tesla and Shaw's old cabin. It's the second paragraph from the bottom, first line. I think you said Shaw.
Okay, thank you. She just wears him around.
Yeah. What's that?
She just wears him around. Her shawl.
He's very out of fashion, though, because he's not a capelet.
He's not a capelet.
Okay, all I need is passing Tesla and Shaw's old cabin. That's all I need.
Okay.
Here we go.
Halden were present.
Passing Tesla and Shaw's old cabin.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One sec. Okay.
Okay.
The connection. So we're going to take it. Connection to the...
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
I was afraid of that.
Okay.
Sorry, on 220, 221.
No, I
yeah.
was, yeah.
Reading ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid of that.
The connection to the reader had an obvious break where the body weight of an exuberant teen had
Same spot, please.
I was afraid of that.
The connection to the reader had an obvious break where the body weight of an exuberant teen had been just enough to separate a cross scanner from its socket. Tesla sighed as all the entire gravity well? Really? I believe that's just as the entire gravity well.
Tesla side.
No, hang on, that's still not right. As the entire gravity well of Earth was funneled through her shoulders. Maybe that was
As if?
as if the entire Tesla sighed as if the entire gravity well of Earth were funneled through her shoulders. I mean, that would work.
Although you still want to do was, probably, right?
Yeah. Well, as if the gravity... No, was... as if the gravity well... If were... Fit, Tesla sighed as... I think we'll go with as if, and that'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Center from its socket.
Tesla sighed as if the entire gravity well of Earth were funneled through her shoulders. Problems? Shal turned from where he... There. No, I think you're right. It should be was.
Okay.
As if... Tesla sighed as if the entire gravity well of Earth was funneled through her shoulders. It's a strange rule about if and were, and like were, was versus conditional statements. Hang on, give me just a second.
Yep.
Okay. Were is used in a subjunctive mood to indicate an unreal situation, something that can never happen. You're imagining a situation that isn't true yet or cannot be true. So
were is correct.
So were is correct.
Okay. All right, so after shoulders then.
Yes.
There we go.
Through her shoulders.
Problems? Shal turned from where he was examining cabin walls. Snapped connection. Her palms were sweating at the thought of fixing something. Ironically, I left the tools I printed in our cabin. I have some you can use. Halden headed for his bedroom. Save you a trip. Thanks. She used to travel with a custom set instead of needing to print them. Not since the accident. This would be fine. She had assembled the contraption, and the functioning of the scanner wasn't a life or death matter.
She had assembled. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
This would be fine.
She had assembled the contraption, and the functioning of the scanner wasn't a life or death matter. Worst case, if it didn't work, they would turn the bottle over to an analyst on Mars. Shal tapped a full-length mirror and leaned against the wall to look behind it. Mm-hmm. Hey, Piper, is this a suite door? She glanced across the room, muttering under her breath. Yes. Sorry, her voice was wrong.
Question. He's calling her Piper instead of Maria. Is that okay?
Oh, no, it's not. Thank you. Good catch.
Thanks. Okay. Starting with after. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Maria, is this a suite door? She glanced across the room, muttering under her breath. Yes. You sound surprised. A lot of cabin classes on this ship. She held up her hand to stop his next words. I didn't clear this room. If I had, you can be damn sure I would have looked at the schematic. Who did? Why do you ask me questions you know I won't answer? He grinned at her. You might slip. Fidgeting with the edge of the mirror, he asked, Any chance you'd open it? I mean, since it leads to our old cabin, it does seem mildly relevant. Halden's eyes widened as he stared at the mirror. Wait, so anyone can just come into my cabin from yours? Shal turned and looked across the room to another mirror. Or from Annie and Jalna's, but I'm not going to ask for access to their room. Come on. Please, Maria. I just want to look around while.
Let's go back and get didn't, please.
Mm-hmm.
I did clear this room, just the didn't got a little swallowed.
Okay.
Yeah, just that phrase. There we go.
Stop his next words.
I didn't clear this room.
Take a listen and see if you're cool with this.
I didn't clear this room.
Yeah, that is accent.
Great.
Who did?
Okay, so then I just want to look around while my cleverer spouse.
Okay.
Here we go.
Please, Maria.
I just want to look around while my cleverer spouse does science things. Science things? You always this technical? Piper bent to study the bottle that Halden had indicated without touching it. She took pictures with her handheld, which would be higher resolution than a subdermal camera. Only when I'm feeling adventurous. Shal sighed. Come on. I can't go in there unsupervised. I want to be here when she scans the bottle. I still have to do the repair. Tesla braced herself on the edge of the cart and bent to look at the brake. It'll take me a while because I'll have to recalibrate the hemisoidal cross-scan. Shal took a step toward the door. See? The hemorrhoidal cross-scan is all uncalibrational, and she'll have to reverse the polarity and shit. You have got to get better at BSing science. Tesla sighed and crossed to the mirror. She put her key fob against the frame, and it slid out and to the side, revealing a security door. 10 minutes, and only because I have questions, too. I'll make you all the coffee you want. I'm still mad about how good that is. Another touch of her fob opened the door, which opened onto a matching security door, and then beyond that, the back of the other room's mirror. Sorry.
Let's get... hemorrhoidal. Let me listen real quick. Which
Okay.
I love the science speak. That was really actually pretty funny. I mean, not actually. It was very funny.
Good. That's what we're going for.
I just need the hemorrhoidal cross scan is all uncalibrational. Here we go.
The door. See?
The hemorrhoidal.
Here we go.
The door. See?
The hemorrhoidal cross-scan is all uncalibrational, and she'll have to reverse the polarity and shit.
Oh, awesome. One sec.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Moving on.
Hemorrhoidal cross-scan.
Yeah, it's genius.
I think it was a typo initially. And then I was like, let's lean into it.
I love it. I'm still mad about how good that is. No, that's not it. So this isn't a fast, discrete passage then. Here we go.
The other room's mirror.
So this isn't a fast, discrete passage, then. Shal headed through the door. As the two of them left the room, Tesla pulled her chair up to the service drone. Leaving the scanner on the cart meant that she could position it anywhere she wanted and get better lighting. She'd need to make sure that the visible break was the only one, and also print a
Need to make sure. Here we go.
And get better lighting.
She'd need to make sure that the visible break was the only one, and also print a calibration test unit from Halden's machine. None of this was a big deal. It had just been a while. Having an audience did not make her happier, but at least she'd handled tools already today. She does not need to print a calibration test unit from Halden's machine because she's been using her wedding ring. That is an artifact. So we're just going to remove the from Halden's machine and just print a calibration test.
Okay. Okay. Same punch when you're ready.
Okay.
And get better lighting.
She'd need to make sure that the visible break was the only one and also print a calibration test. None of this was a big deal. It had just been a while. Having an audience did not make her happier, but at least she'd handled tools already today. From the bedroom, Halden made a low, startled sound. You okay? She stood quickly enough that her back seized, and she let herself grimace as she gripped the cane to steady herself. There's a note on my dressing mirror. Tesla limped into the bedroom, stabbing the ground with her cane with each step. Her heartbeat felt like something knocking against her ribcage. Halden stood in the middle of the floor, holding a slim, anodized tool case. The bright teal metal caught Tesla's eye for a moment. Halden was facing the wall to her right, opposite his closet. Scrawled in bright red lipstick, The note was in large block letters. Remember the Maine. It was easy to see why he hadn't noticed it until he was coming out of the closet. His face was tight around the mouth and he was breathing too fast. Beads of sweat stood out on his bra. Tesla came to stand beside him, with Gimlet fast on her heels. Do you know what it means? He stared at the mirror, then abruptly shut his eyes. Grimacing as he opened them, he paced in a tiny, tight circle on the floor. Shit, shit, shit. Tell me? It's misspelled. He walked out of the bedroom as if that explained anything. I thought Ruth and George were trying to kill me, but I was... Dear God, I think they were... But why wouldn't she have told me? Did they not know? I need help connecting the dots here. It's a cocktail. It's named after a battleship that sank in the 1800s. Started the Spanish-American War. Remember the Maine, to hell with Spain.
We got to get one quick thing.
And we've got to get two quick things, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But at least she'd handled tools already today.
Yeah.
She handled the tools yesterday.
Well, that's what... Yeah, I was wondering about that, but okay. Let's go get that first, and then I'll play you something I think you'll find amusing. Let's see here. But at least she'd handled tools already today, 1227. There it is.
Having an audience did not make her happier, but at least she'd handled tools yesterday. At least she'd already handled tools yesterday. But at least she'd handled tools already. I think we'll just go with, but at least she'd handled tools already.
Yep. Ready?
Yep.
Not make her happier.
But at least she'd handled tools already.
Thank you. Let me play you the next thing.
Oh, no.
Let me find it.
Must be really good.
Here you go.
Beads of sweat stood out on his bra.
He's having a real good time. Like he's just come out of the
your
closet.
bra sweats. All right.
Oh my
Beads of
God.
sweat stood out on his brow. Here we go.
Fine.
I mean, you're the author. I just figured.
I mean, there's a lot of things I need to change in this book.
All right. You see it's about two paragraphs up from the bottom.
I do see it. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Here we go.
Breathing too fast.
Beads of sweat stood out on his brow. Also, the reason I get paid the big bucks is because I can turn off the laughter even when my engineer is torturing me.
I mean, I think what made that even funnier was that it just flowed right past.
Just had no idea. I was like, ooh, I'm really in a flow. It's just, listen to this scene just moving so smoothly. I'm reading without making any mistakes at all.
Remember the bra. I mean, here we go. Excuse me. So, remember the Maine. Here we go. Next page.
Okay. Yep.
Spanish-American War.
Remember the Maine, to hell with Spain. Setting the tools on a side table as he came into the living room, Halden turned to face her. You've had experiments go wrong. What's the worst thing that's ever happened? Her throat went dry. You mean besides killing 6 people? He winced and looked away. Sorry, I knew that. The point is, I mentioned that Ruth was my college roommate. That's also where I met George. We were all in a group of... Someone knocked on the door. Tesla and Halden both jumped. Gimlet barked.
Gimlet, here we go.
Halden both jumped.
Gimlet barked, stomping her feet, but stayed by Tesla. A moment later, the housekeeping chime sounded gently through the suite. Halden grimaced. It's Jenny. I'm usually out of the room at the gym by now. So, more towel animals? There are worse things in the world. He headed for the door. I'll ask her to come back. I don't think you should answer the door. Tesla followed, letting her limp be more visible for the sake of speed. She'll just come in if... The door unlatched with a soft click. The room went dark, and Halden screamed.
Let's get one quick thing before we go on to the next chapter, please.
Yes.
I'm usually more bras. No, I'm usually at the gym by now. I think you said. I think you added a by.
Okay. Okay,
I'm
thank
at the
you.
gym now. Let's just get that phrase. I'm usually through now.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
It's Jenny.
I'm usually out of the room at the gym now.
Thank you. Alessandra says, dun, dun, dun.
Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun.
Okay, so let's do... Moving on to the next cocktail. Too close for comfort.
Halden screamed.
Too close for comfort. 1.5 ounces vodka, 1 ounce Southern Comfort, 1 ounce lemon juice, 3/4 ounce simple syrup, 1 lemon peel. Shake over ice and strain into martini glass. Garnish with lemon peel. Gimlet barked twice in the hall. Without windows, the suite was black as space, lit only by a constellation.
Without windows, the suite was as black as space. Here we go.
Thank you.
Twice in the hall.
Without windows, the suite was black as space. Was as black as space.
Twice in the hall.
Without windows, the suite was as black as space, lit only by a constellation of tiny indicator lights from the service drone. Tesla dragged in a breath. 4 things she heard. Gimlet growling, scuffling, footsteps running, a door slamming. She shouted, Lindgren! Call security and medical! She turned the DBPS down so that she could feel her way across the room, leading with her right leg. As her eyes adjusted, dimmer blue.
Dimmer blue.
Her eyes adjusted.
Dimmer blue nightlights made pools on the floor, and the yellow glow of emergency lights from the hallway defined the door to the suite. She hit the speed dial for Fontaine. Over the loudspeakers, a calm voice said, Delta Gamma 1153, Delta Gamma 1553.
Delta Gamma. Here we go.
A calm voice said,
Delta Gamma 1553, Delta Gamma 1553. Along the wall next to the door to Halden's suite, a great smear of blood was nearly black in the yellow emergency lights and arced down to point at Halden, who had slumped on the floor. Tesla grabbed a towel animal from the side table, shaking out the hippopotamus as she went. She dropped to her knees next to Halden, and her DBPS dialed up so that she hit the floor with numb ease. Blood soaked his shirt from 2 wounds, one across his left forearm and another deep in the meat of his trapezius, where a pair of scissors was still sticking out of him. As stomach-turning as that was, the wound on his arm was more immediately worrying because it was spurting blood. Tesla set her cane on the floor and clamped the towel on Halden's arm, squeezing for all she was worth. Piper burst back into the room from the hallway. "What? Shit! Did you see? It was dark. Halden? Hal, look at me?" Not again. His eyes were rolled back in his head.
Let's get who was slumped.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Wait a minute, where is... Got it.
Okay, I'm looking still.
Bottom of the previous page. Bottom of 225.
And arced down is where we're going to take it from.
Okay.
Here we go.
Low emergency lights.
And arced down to point at Halden, who was slumped on the floor.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then back to his eyes were rolled. Here we go.
Not again.
His eyes were rolled back in his head, and he was sliding farther down the wall. Above her, Shal said, "Split up. You take that direction, and I..." Tesla spared him a glance. "Don't you dare go chasing after whoever did this. I'm not going to have them blame you again." In the hall, other voices were starting to fill the air with questions about the blackout. None of them were aware that a man had been stabbed. Blood was soaking through the towel, as if all she were doing was containing it. Piper stepped back into the hall, frustration clear on her face. "Folks, the power will be back on in a moment. I'm going to ask you to stay in your cabins. It's dark in there." "Yes, I apologize for that and recommend that you leave your cabin door open for the emergency lights, but..." "What happened?" That was Annie's voice. "Our engineers will be able to tell us that. Right now, what we need is for everyone to remain calm and..." Someone else grumbled. "This is unacceptable. I want to speak to a manager." The fury visibly gathered under Piper's skin, and she took a breath as if she were going to shout at them, but the wave passed over her, and she spoke calmly. "Certainly. I'll call one now." She tapped her badge. "Security, Piper, requesting backup." I didn't ask for security." Piper's smile was grim. "If you want to talk to my manager, that's security." She turned and knelt inside the door, fishing a flashlight out of her pocket. "Let me see." The white circle of light burned Tesla's eyes for a moment and painted the towel bright arterial red. Under her hands, Halden didn't flinch, with his head canted at an awkward angle. In the tight skin of his throat, she could see his pulse beating fast. The scissors flashed silver in the light. Shawls, why did I suddenly... All right, let me insert a space. There should be a space.
Okay. Let me listen to Out of Her Pocket really quick.
Okay.
Just listen and see if you're okay with it.
Fishing a flashlight out of her pocket.
Yes. What are you hearing that's not making you happy?
I thought it was not smooth on Out of Her Pocket, but it's subtle,
Okay, I'll
so
do
it's
it
probably
again.
fine. Okay. After knelt inside the door, so fishing a flashlight. Here we go.
Inside the door.
Fishing a flashlight out of her pocket.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am getting a little of the crackly poppy thing again when you do playback, which is fine when I'm coming in, but if I'm trying to listen to something critically, it's not always ideal.
Gotcha. Well, I can try increasing the
That's
buffer
fine.
size. Let's see if that helps. Let's see. Silver in the lights. Oh, sewing scissors. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Silver in the light.
Shal's sewing scissors. She'd had them forged by hand as a wedding gift and recognized the pattern of badgers on the handles. Tesla opened her mouth to say something but could hear Shal telling her not to volunteer information, and right now, keeping Halden alive was the priority. Piper tapped the badge on her chest. Weiser, Piper, I'm first on the scene. We need a medic fast. What the hell happened? His tinny voice sounded out of breath as if he were running. Halden Kuznetsova has been stabbed. He's alive but losing blood. She glanced out into the hall. The power is out here and there are passengers all over the scene. We need the lights on and to lock this hall down. Copy. I show Bob and Candy heading your way, and they should meet me there. I'll talk to engineering. Coming through! We'll get you lights. Tesla looked up at Shal. Grab Gimlet's leash from the chair. We can use that to tourniquet his arm until the
Grab, here we go.
I looked up at Shal.
Grab Gimlet's leash from the chair. We can use that to tourniquet his arm until the medics get here. Not ideal. But he moved.
After not ideal, here we go.
Uh-huh.
Here we go.
Not ideal.
But he moved into the suite, looking for the leash. Dead is less ideal. Annie's voice cut through the murmurs in the hall. For pity's sake, people, have sense and keep the hall clear for these folks. Shal brought the leash back to her and wrapped it below the elbow. As he was doing that, a voice echoed down the hall. Medic! Coming through! For a moment, Tesla thought that Ruth Fish was somehow still alive and that she was going to be the one on the scene. A moment later, light and shadows sliced through the dark as a person carrying a flashlight, a full megamover, and a medkit ran down the hall. Piper waved. Candy! Sorry.
Piper waved after wave.
Uh-huh.
Piper waved.
Candy, Bob, over here. The medic had been with Ruth Fish when George Saikawa had been stabbed. Candy was older and built like a Russian weightlifter, wearing her gray and purple hair.
Wearing, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Russian weightlifter.
Built like a Russian...
Russian weightlifter.
Wearing her gray and purple hair in a high side ponytail with a silver lame bow clipped to the front. Boo.
Same punch, please.
Russian weightlifter.
Wearing her gray and purple hair in a high side ponytail with a silver lame bow clipped to the front of it. She skidded to a stop at the door. Stepping into the room, she pulled bright blue nitrile gloves out of her pocket. What happened? I didn't see it. It felt like déjà vu or a flashback, but was happening here and now. This was the second person who had been stabbed in front of her. He answered the door, the lights went out, and he screamed, I can't get his arm to stop bleeding. That's my job. The bright orange.
Let's see. After that's my job.
That's my job.
The orange medkit.
That's my job.
The orange medkit unpacked at her command and extended an octopus probe. Okay.
After command, here we go.
Packed at her command.
And extended an octopus worth of probes. Tesla's brain quietly noted the movement and sensors and confirmed that the robot was an octopoid. I need room. You've done well. Tesla reached for her cane, but her hands were covered in blood. Again. What was she supposed to do? Put her hands on the floor? The wall? The ceiling?
Put her hands.
What was she supposed to do?
One more time.
What was she supposed to do?
Put her hands on the wall? On the floor? Shal snatched a towel palm tree off a table and handed it to her. While she wiped the wettest of the blood off, he slid his hand under her bare...
While she wiped. Here we go.
And handed it to her.
One more time, sorry.
Okay, here we go.
And handed it to her.
While she wiped the wettest of the blood off, he slid his hand under her bare elbow and braced to steady her as she stood. Are you hurt? No. She nearly didn't make it to her feet anyway. Thank heavens the room was dark enough that no one would really be able to see her.
Thank heavens.
Okay.
To her feet anyway.
Thank heavens the room was dark enough that no one would really be able to see her face. Those are your scissors in his shoulder. How? His hand tightened on her elbow. I dumped your embroidery bag the night Saikawa was killed. Who is this person? His hand stayed under her elbow as if he were afraid she was going to topple over. Let's get you a chair. Behind them, Bob said, What are you doing in Kuznetsova's room? There with me? Piper cut in before Tesla or Shal had to say anything. And you had eyes on him the whole time? I was always in the room with him. What about her? The bastard had another spoofer. Those goddamn things ought to be outlawed. Piper sighed in response, and it contained a monograph on comparative work ethics and training, as well as a rundown of the various faults that belonged to Bob's most basic abilities. In the clearing of her throat was a brief telegram that simply said, Not worth my time. Candy, is there anything you need? What's up with the lights? Piper turned and looked deeper into the room. It was a full power outage because the emergency doors tripped. Bob? He snorted. No idea. Diagnostic is slow. And lights would take away the last tiny fraction of privacy Tesla had. She clenched her fists, and even after wiping them on the towel, her fingers were sticky with blood. I need to wash... Oh, shit. Piper? I need to show you something in the bedroom. I do not need anything ill. She came up beside Tesla with a flashlight and handed her the cane. What is it? Writing on the mirror. Halden said it was related to something he, Ruth, and George did in college, but then... She waved her hand to encompass the darkness. The carpet caught and dragged the sole of her left foot as she walked to the bedroom. Who had access to Halden's room? His towel artist?
Let's go back to the monograph, please.
Okay.
And it contained a monograph. Let's see here.
Okay.
I just need, and it contained a monograph on work ethics and training. That's all I need. There we go.
Sighed in response.
And it contained a monograph on comparative work ethics and training.
Thank you. Let's do it one more time because your energy was a little different and your voice pitch was a little higher coming in.
Got it, thank you.
So it sounds, yep, here we go.
Sighed in response.
And it contained a monograph on comparative work...
That's a good match for sound, thank you. Here we go again.
Sighed in response.
And it contained a monograph on comparative work ethics and training.
Perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great.
who had access to Halden's room. Would a server like Emmanuel have been able to open the door?
There's a question in the chat about why badgers on shell scissors.
I like badgers.
Question answered.
Yep. Yeah, basically. I figure at some point someone is going to do fan art for it. I don't think that anyone's going to hand forge scissors, but someone's going to draw it, and I like badgers. You can come up with a canonical reason if you want one, but that's the actual answer.
Alessandra thinks I like badgers is a great answer. So let's take it from would a server like Emmanuel? Here we go.
Towel artist?
Would a server like Emmanuel have been able to open the door? It's on the mirror to the right. At the door to the bedroom, Tesla paused to let Piper go first. Gimlet, heel. Piper walked in and turned. The halation of the flashlight uplit her face just enough that Tesla could see her lips purse for a low whistle. Remember the Maine? It sounds like they had an experiment go wrong. She turned back, looking for a patch of white in the dark. Gimlet? Gimlet, come! Shal stood in the middle of the room and patted his thigh. Gimlet? Sorry.
Patted his thigh. Let's go back and get a couple things in deletion to... Could I get the phrase, the halation of her flashlight, through just enough?
Okay.
The word halation was a little unclear.
In and turned.
The halation of her flashlight, of the flashlight.
Here we go.
In and turned.
The halation of the flashlight uplit her face just enough that Tesla could see her purse, her lips purse. You probably had enough anyway.
Yeah.
Or did you need the whole sentence?
I didn't.
Oh, great. I got plenty of sleep last night. I don't know why I'm so yawny.
Yeah.
Elsie was very, what was the sequence she did last night? It was so funny. Yeah, I finished recording, and she's like, quiet? I'm like, it is quiet now. And she said, lie down, quiet. And and I was like, you want me to go to bed? Is that what we're saying here? Are we sleepy? And she said, yes, more all done. I'm like, yes, more all done is a very, very mood, Elsie, very mood.
It sounded like they had an experiment go wrong. Can we get that? And
okay,
probably go from there.
Great.
You said it sounds. Here we go.
Okay.
For the Maine.
It sounded like they had an experiment go wrong. She turned back, looking for a patch of white in the dark. Gimlet? Gimlet, come! Shal stood in the middle of the room and patted his thigh. Gimlet, come to Papa. He turned in a circle. Gimlet? On the other side of the room, Candy had transferred Halden to the Megamover and was prepping to haul him out of the room. The scissors still protruded from his shoulders, but his eyes were a little open in the medic's flashlight. Piper came out of the room, shining the flashlight low on the walls. Gimlet? Where are you, girl? Clutching her flashlight, Tesla stared into the dark corners, willing her dog to be hiding under a chair. And yet... Gimlet? Her subdermal chimed, and in her
They're subdermal.
Okay.
You said Tesla was clutching her flashlight. She was clutching her cane.
Thank you.
Let's see here. We got the people back.
Oh, do we?
On
Okay.
the,
That's fine.
chat.
We're about to.
Yep.
That's fine. We're about to stop
over.
anyway, so I'm not. Yeah, I'm not worried.
Yep. Okay. After and yet. No, we're doing cane. Here we go. Clutching her cane. Here we go.
Where are you, girl?
Clutching her cane, Tesla stared into the dark corners, willing her dog to be hiding under a chair. And yet... Gimlet? Her subdermal chimed, and in her pocket, her handheld buzzed. Tesla jumped and flinched and fumbled to get the handy out of her pocket. Fantine glared out from the screen. Most people would just send me a text message, or heck, I think at this point writing a paper letter and inventing a drone ship to run it back to me would be cheaper than all of these calls. What, in the name of Agatha of Sicily, makes you think you should... Is that blood? Holy fart weasels on a flying carpet! Did you... Why does Holden Kuznetsova have scissors sticking out of him? Someone, who was not me or Shao, stabbed him. This was why Tesla had called Fantine, so that she would be there when they were inevitably brought in for questioning. Her eyes burned, trying to see into the darkness. I'll tell you all about it, but not right now. We can't find Gimlet. All right.
One thing, please. Handy. We need to get the handy.
Oh, yeah.
Jumped and flinched. Here we go. Tesla jumped and flinched.
That is the only place that I called it a handy in the entire book. That's an artifact, so it used to be, let's see. Subdermal chimed in her pocket, her handheld buzzed. Tesla jumped and flinched and fumbled to get it out of her pocket.
Okay.
I think, just swapping it to an it is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Kendra says there's at least one other place.
Oh,
Please
great.
hit handy.
Well, then in that case, I'm not going to worry about it, and we'll leave it alone.
Perfect. Let's see here, but we need to get, let's see here. Oh, right, we need to get that anyway because of my little dropout, so.
Yeah.
Right after her handheld buzzed.
Okay.
Here we go.
Handheld buzzed.
Tesla jumped and flinched and fumbled to get the handy out of her pocket.
Great. Fantine glared out, and there's one last thing. I think at this point, inventing would be cheaper than all of these calls. That phrase just needs to smooth out.
Okay.
Here we go.
Text message or heck.
I think at this point, writing a paper letter and inventing a drone ship to run it back to me would be cheaper than all of these calls.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say that I appreciate everyone who is watching because you are driving my numbers up. And I really appreciate having the extra views. It's very nice. Thank you.
So, cool. We are at the break here.
Great. All right, I'm going to go make a cup of tea, take about 5.
Yep.
Then come back and finish up.
Yep, sounds good.
So I'm going to give you all some more light jazz. Enjoy. should be all back and shiny and ready for more exciting cocktails. This one is a really good one. Awesome.
Now they hear me too, I think, because I
Okay.
got my thing muted. Let's see here.
Mm.
There it is.
Oh, great.
Good. Check, and check.
Excellent.
Okay. Last word. Here we go. When you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Her eyes burned, trying to see into the darkness. I'll tell you all about it, but not right now. We can't find Gimlet.
Last word. 3/4 ounce maraschino liqueur, 3/4 ounce lime juice, 3/4 ounce green chartreuse, 3/4 ounce gin. Shake ingredients over ice for 15 seconds. Serve up in a coupe. Outside the window in the yacht club's lounge, the projected starfield appeared to drift past as the ship journeyed through space. Tesla sat with her back to it, hands clutching her cane so that she wouldn't throw it at Weiser while they waited for Fantine to hear the list of questions he'd given her. The lights were back on, but it had been over an hour since they'd taken Halden down to sickbay. She had no idea how he was, and Gimlet still hadn't turned up. The coffee that the staff had given to the yacht club members had long since grown cold. She pulled up her HUD, checking for Gimlet's tracker again. Offline. Last location shown. It still showed Halden's cabin. They'd checked it, looking under and in everywhere a little dog could hide before Weiser had sent all the guests to the lobby for questioning. Tesla shifted in her chair, which was less uncomfortable than the ones in the Olympus Mons lounge, but clearly made by the same designer. Couldn't we just give you a statement? Officer Piper was with one of us the entire time. She wasn't with you. Weiser was scrolling through things on his handheld, swiping with more vigor than strictly necessary. You could just answer my questions, though. What was the point of having a very expensive lawyer if you didn't let them do their job? It's just that our dog is missing, and I'm worried.
I feel like Weiser's voice is slightly different than it has been before. It feels like maybe it's a little bit higher. Can we go back and listen to him briefly?
Sure.
Or are you pretty confident?
I trust your ear. It feels like it's set in the same place in my but I could be wrong.
It could be me. Maybe I'm...
I can pitch him lower.
Weiser. Yeah, but I don't want you to do that if I'm wrong.
Fair.
Page 28. Let's go back to that just for giggles. 178. Let's go back down. 178. There we go. All right, here's Weiser.
Mix Kuznetsova. I'm Security Chief Weiser. He, him.
His voice did change over time.
Okay, you want me to find one that's closer?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Chief Weiser. Chief Weiser. Okay. Suicide is not uncommon. That's the most recent one I can find. It's 5:58. When's the last time he spoke that you can remember? Oh, he said he did it. Well, yeah, he did it in the emergency just a few pages ago.
Yeah. In the when they're in the hospital room.
Yeah. There's one before that. Piper, I'm first on the scene. We need a medic fast. What the hell happened? That's the most recent one.
Yep. But if you're looking for something that's not today, since that one would be the same thing that I'm doing right now.
Right. Let's go back to 5:58.
I am raising your father from the grave, and he will be very, very disappointed in you. Call me. New message.
5:58, not 5:88. Sorry.
It's okay. I have crochet.
Sorry. Okay, here's Wiser.
Suicide is not uncommon with murder suspects.
Yeah, you're right. It is lower than I pitched it.
Just a little bit lower, but it's got the right thing. Let's see here. Yeah, it's just a little lower. Okay, can we start with She Wasn't With You? As soon as I figure out what page we're on, what page are we on? 227, there it is.
232.
But clearly made by the same designer. Couldn't we just give you a statement? Officer Piper was with one of us the entire time.
She wasn't with you.
Wiser was scrolling through.
Still feels like it's a tad high to me pitch-wise. Maybe it's just because he's feeling, because he's, just a little bit lower, please.
But
And less pre-roll on my part. Here we go.
Entire time.
She wasn't with you.
That's my mistake. Here we go.
Entire time.
She wasn't with you.
Wiser was scrolling through things on his handheld, swiping with more vigor than strictly necessary.
You could just answer my questions, though.
What was the point of having a very expensive lawyer if you didn't let them do their job? It's just that our dog is missing, and I'm worried about her.
I am not concerned about your dog. I'm concerned about the man who was stabbed.
Wiser continued to stare at the handheld.
I'm concerned because you made a list and the top 2 people on your list are dead and the third has been attacked. I'm concerned about the fact that you've been in proximity to all of the deaths on the ship.
Ship, singular, not plural.
I'm concerned. Here we go.
Third has been attacked. I'm concerned about the fact that you've been in proximity to all of the deaths on the ship.
Oh, I didn't know we'd been near the body in the composting recycler. Do we know who that is yet? Shal stretched and casually put his arm behind Tesla's back. Don't let him. Wiser glanced at him over the edge of the screen.
Move away from each other. I don't want private conversations.
But it's our honeymoon. Pouting, Shal withdrew his arm. Lips tight, Wiser bent back to his work. One did not need to be a retired detective to be able to tell that he still didn't know who the body in the recycling system was. On the screen of Tesla's handheld, Fantine counted Carmen Scritches.
Here we go. Wait a minute. I marked Fantine.
Carmine. Oh.
Yeah, we got to do one more. One more punch.
It's okay.
hands clutching her cane. Previous page. Hands clutching, right near the top. Third line from the top of the previous page. Hands clutching so she wouldn't throw us away for Fantine. A good list of questions he'd given her. Fantine, we just had a stumble on.
Okay.
So here we go.
Sat with her back to it.
Hands clutching her cane so that she wouldn't throw it at Weiser while they waited for Fantine to hear the list of questions he'd given her.
Okay, thanks. Just saw that I marked that. Fantine counted. Here we go.
Tesla's
Just
handheld.
double-checking. Hang on, I'm double-checking a pronunciation.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Tesla's handheld.
Either Carmen or Carmine are correct. Great.
Okay. Here we go.
Tesla's handheld.
Sorry, I now
Sorry.
need to scroll back to the page where I was having...
Gotcha.
Okay, now I'm ready.
232. Okay.
Tesla's handheld.
Fantine counted Carmen's stitches and scowled. Tesla could tell when her words reached Fantine because she set her...
Let's do that. Let's do that one more time, just to smooth out that.
Okay.
And scowled.
Tesla's handheld.
Fantine counted Carmen's stitches and scowled. Tesla could tell when her words reached Fantine because she set her crochet aside and started jotting notes on a pad. All right. I'm sending a memo to Lee in your legal department because someone at your pribbling, earth-vexing company has to be competent. My client can answer questions 2 and 7. Everything else will cover in a written statement. And before you object to that, let me make it clear that they are cooperating out of courtesy. I am inserting an in front of courtesy. And also...
Can we take it from my clients, plural? You said my client, singular. Okay.
But it should also be Tesla could tell when his words reached Fantine, because that is who she is responding to.
Yes. Okay, let's take it from Tesla could tell.
Okay. Do you want me to just carry on from there?
Yeah, I might as well.
Okay.
Here we go.
And scowled.
Tesla could tell when his words reached Fantine because she set her crochet aside and started, or not. Maybe we do keep the things that I said correctly.
Let's see here. Do you want me to try to pull that back?
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I was being...
And scowled.
Tesla could tell when his words reached Fantine because she set her crochet aside and started jotting notes on a pad. All right. I'm sending a memo to Lee in your legal department because someone at your pribbling, earth-vexing company has to be competent. My clients can answer questions 2 and 7. Everything else will cover in a written statement.
Everything else. Let me get a little thumpy sound on... I love the word pribbling, by the way. Is that a real word or did you make it up?
That is a Shakespeare word, and I also love it.
I love it. Great, okay. So, after 2 and 7, here we go.
2 and 7.
Everything else will cover in a written statement. And before you object to that, let me make it clear that they are cooperating out of a courtesy that you have not earned, and that if you try to fight me on this, I will file so many formal complaints against you that they'll have to terraform Jupiter to plant enough trees for the paper required. She picked up her crochet again, stabbing the hook through the red yarn as if it were Weiser's liver. As soon as we're done here, which is going to be very soon, because my clients need to eat lunch, you're going to have your staff make another announcement about Gimlet, and you'll keep doing so until my client has her dog back. Weiser looked as if the act of holding his tongue was going to strangle him and add to the body count.
Questions 2 and 7?
Tesla had no idea why the others were off limits, but it would get her away to look for Gimlet faster. Question 2. I did not see the note in the bedroom until Halden called me in to look at it.
Question 2. Here we go.
Gimlet faster.
Question 2. I did not see the note in the bedroom until Halden called me in to look at it. Question 7. My recollection is that the lights went out before he screamed. Weiser looked at Shal, who shrugged. 2. I did not see the note until Maria and I went into the room after the incident. 7. The lights went out, and we heard the scream through the closed door. Can we go now? Tesla settled the tip of her cane on the floor, as if she were about to stand and go without waiting for permission.
No, of course you...
Weiser flinched and looked up into the left at something on his HUD.
God damn it! Fine. You can go. Give your statement to Lee and Legal.
Thank you. Tesla powered herself to her feet and wanted to charge away, but waited for her body to settle. Shal stood slowly with a hand to his side and nodded to Weiser. A pleasure speaking to you, as always. Weiser scowled and pushed his own chair back.
Give me that statement by end of day. I need to file it with the Home Office.
3 cheerful tones sounded over the ship's loudspeakers. Good morning, passengers! We're still looking for that little white dog we mentioned earlier. She answers to Gimlet, and if you spot her, don't chase her. Just call security so they can get her back to her parents. Meanwhile, Martian Hoopball is open in Module 14. Without waiting for an answer, Weiser stomped off to the next interviewees, a couple whose wardrobes were so stylish that the clothes were wearing the people. Tesla headed across the lounge, not across the cane. Maybe a jumping thing, reverse limbo, I'm not sure.
They're married. Have they done the cross the whatchamacallit thing? Is that a thing?
Oh, across the threshold thing? Yeah.
The cane instead? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I need a little dropout thing. Hold on.
Okay.
I just need the phrase, I did not see the note in the bedroom till Halden called me in to look at it, because there was a dropout on it. There we go.
Question 2.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I just had the wrong 2. It's fine.
Question 2.
I did not see the note in the bedroom until Halden called me in to look at it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
After clothes are wearing the people. Tesla headed across the lounge. Here we go.
We're wearing the people.
Tesla headed across the lounge to the concierge desk, stabbing the floor with her cane. At her side, Shal leaned into his stride, hands in his pockets as if he were in a hurry and totally casual about it at the same time. She could feel the worry crackling off of him. At the desk, Tesla stopped and tried to give the concierge the option to say no, even while knowing that the young person really had no choice. Aubrey, could I trouble you for a moment? Miss Crane, Miss Stewart, of course. How can I help? The concierge smiled at Tesla.
Concierge. Desk. Hold on.
Uh-huh.
That's fine. Okay. Moving on. After, how can I help?
How can I help?
The concierge smiled at Tesla, but the pleasant mask didn't quite cover their expression and let frazzled worry seep around the edges. Did you see Gimlet earlier? Aubrey stood, looking around the lounge as if Gimlet would suddenly materialize. I have not seen sweet Gimlet since you have come.
I have not seen. Here we go.
Materialize.
I have not seen sweet Gimlet since you have come with mixed cousins.
Here we go.
Materialize.
I have not seen sweet Gimlet since you have come with mixed Kuznetsova earlier. Shal squeezed Tesla's hand and made the new wedding ring shift around her finger.
For earlier.
One more time.
Yep, sorry.
Sova earlier.
Shal squeezed Tesla's hand and made the new wedding ring shift around on her finger. With the blackout, how dark was it in here? They shook their head. The rescue lads lit almost immediately. Even so, the little dog is impossible to miss. I would have seen her, I am certain. They hesitated and gestured.
They hesitated. Here we go.
I am certain.
They gestured and hesitated. They hesitated and gestured. It's the same thing.
Here we go.
I am certain.
Actually, you know what? I keep bobbling because I don't like I am certain in accent. I just want to do it again.
Okay.
I just want to go up at the end of that.
No problem. Here we go.
Bill to miss.
I would have seen her, I am certain. They hesitated and gestured to the doors to the yacht club. In addition, the automatic
In addition?
Okay.
Here we go.
Doors to the yacht club.
In addition, the automatic doors are deactivated during a power breakdown for the reasons of security. Have no worry. They can always be opened manually, but this gives me the certainty that Gimlet has not escaped. She must therefore be here. Tesla tapped her forefinger on the head of her cane, thinking. Suite doors were open up and down the corridor. It wouldn't be the first time she decided to make a new friend. Nodding slowly.
Can we go back and get is not escaped?
Yes.
That Gimlet is not escaped. Let's see here.
Okay.
They can always be opened manually. From there, just that phrase through escaped, please. There we go.
Have no worry.
They can always be opened manually. But this.
Sorry, I gave you the wrong punch here. After manually, here we go.
Okay.
Be opened manually.
But this gives me the certainty that Gimlet is not escaped. She must therefore be here.
Thank you.
Do you hear a low thrumming sound in the distance?
I do now.
Okay, it was
the
there
plane.
under that line.
Can we listen?
I'm not sure. I'm going to pull my earphone out.
Okay.
I think it
That's
is
okay.
a plane.
Yep.
There's
Punch
a
is
chance it is
okay.
a lawnmower.
Yeah, I was afraid.
There's definitely a plane happening as well, but
hoping for plain.
Me too. But it is taking a very long time. Still hear it?
No, it seems like it's gotten. Let me try one thing real quick. If you can just give me
Okay.
a noise floor real quick. Seems like it's gone to me.
Okay, great.
Let's keep going there. Yep. After make a new friend.
Okay.
To make a new friend.
Nodding slowly, Shal tilted his head and squinted toward the golden promenade. It jogged to the right, which would take them past the bathtub tree woman picture. My recollection is that guests have to pass through the lobby to exit. Could we check the service corridor? Aubrey hesitated. Damn it. They were going to need to get permission, and Weiser wouldn't give it, just because he was pissed about Fantine. Aubrey made a small snort with a quick nod. If you please, this way. 2 keystrokes later, they had locked the concierge station and risen. Moving at a pace...
Moving, here we go.
Station and risen.
Moving at a pace calibrated to feel hurried, but not beyond Tesla's ability, Aubrey led them down the golden promenade. Past the bathtub lady and the zombie squirrels, the hall was empty of passengers again, and aside from yellow caution tape across Halden's door, the only other sign that anything was off was the laundry cart, which had been bumped at some point, and towels were still scattered on the floor. One was half-formed into a swan. Was Jenny working this shift? Tesla asked. Aubrey raised their eyebrows. Yes, to be sure. The room stewards are not... They do not have shifts per se. Even on their breaks, still they are always on call. If she has seen your little dog, she will, of course, let me know immediately. Past the laundry cart, they paused at a plain white service door and waved their wrist over the reader. The door unlatched with a whir and a click. Aubrey pushed it open. Tesla wanted Gimlet to be waiting on the other side of the door. She was not. The scuffed floor of the service corridor stretched to the curvature of the ship, intersecting at intervals with other service corridors, but there was no sign of their dog. Tesla should have brought treats with her, but Gimlet had never been gone this long before. Do we split? Her HUD lit up with an incoming call from Halden? Tesla's knees sagged with relief, and she put a hand against the wall to steady herself. A part of her brain had been waiting to hear that he hadn't survived. She transferred the call to her handheld so Shal could hear it. Hi, how are you?
I was stabbed.
He winced, and the camera wobbled.
How do you think I'm doing?
Not great, I imagine. Also clearly dopey from pain medication. But if the medic Candy were involved and wanted him dead, he already would be.
Why aren't you here?
His voice sounded thick and slurred.
I hired you to keep me safe, and I was stabbed, and why aren't you here?
Past Shal, Aubrey turned their back to give an illusion of privacy. Shal walked up to Tesla, and she raised the handheld to frame him with her. Halden's image showed just his eye, with a blown-out black pupil and a corner of his teal hair. You asked us to look into things. I'm not a bodyguard. Neither is Shal.
Why aren't you here?
Gimlet is missing? Tesla's stomach was twisted into prickling coils of anxiety for Gimlet. The fact that Gimlet might be with the murderer right now, or... She had never wanted to receive a ransom note so badly. He lifted his head and pulled his handheld away from his body. His mouth hung a little open. Then he laughed.
Of course. Of course that's what you're worried about. I was stabbed while you were supposed to be helping me.
I did tell you not to open the door.
So this is my fault now.
That's not what I meant. Sorry, that's...
It's not Tesla.
just want to do a different read on this. Yep.
Yep. We need to get one thing. Also clearly. Very top of the page. Not great, I imagine. Also clearly dopey from pain medication. I just need the phrase also clearly dopey. I just need to listen real quick.
Okay.
It's the word medication was a little bobbled.
Okay.
Here we go.
Great, I imagine.
Also clearly dopey from pain medication.
Thank you. So this is my fault now. Here we go.
This is my fault now.
That's not what I meant.
I think that's exactly what you meant.
He clenched his jaw and stared away from them as if he could bore a hole in the wall.
I'm only as...
one more time.
I'm only as...
A hole in the wall.
I'm only as valuable to you as your needs. Get your spouse out of jail. Help you find your dog. My actual life doesn't have any value to anyone unless there's some kind of payoff.
Halden, I know how that feels, and I promise you that I don't care about your money.
No, but you care about the fact that I own this ship.
He laughed again with a wild, frantic edge.
Hell, maybe Shal stabbed me. I mean, after all, he's done surveillance on me before.
Beside her, Shal took in a sudden, startled breath. Your ex-spouse. You and Leo met in college.
I'm well aware.
My point is, Leo would have known Ruth and George. Would he have known about Remember the Maine? A look of horror swept over Halden's features, and he shook his head, pressing back into the pillows with his eyes squeezed. I don't think that's... the eyes cannot go past tense. I mean, I guess they can, technically, but...
I mean, looking back, I think you could see that...
Yes, yes.
Let's see here. Pressing back. Here we go. Pressing back.
And he shook his head.
Pressing back into the pillows with his eyes squeezed shut. Eek.
Same punch, please.
And he shook his head.
Pressing back into the pillows with his eyes squeezed shut.
No, he is not on this ship. No.
He wouldn't have to be. Tesla felt cold. If you had enough money, you could pay for anything. The image on the screen flashed and bounced as if he'd dropped his handheld. It did nothing to mask Halden's horrible, racking sobs. Tesla glanced down the hall to Aubrey, who had actually stuck their fingers in their ears and stood with their shoulders hunched. On the handy.
On the handy, here we go.
Mm-hmm. Hunched.
On the handy, the image shook again as Halden brought his handheld close to his face again. Maybe I don't need both agains in that sentence.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to cut the first one.
Yep.
Okay.
Shoulders hunched.
On the handy, the image shook as Halden brought his handheld close to his face again. Tears were brimming in his eyes, and his voice was hoarse.
Please come here.
Sure. She bit the inside of her lip and glanced at Shal.
She bit the inside of her cheek. Here we go.
Okay.
Sure.
She bit the inside of her cheek and glanced at Shal. Sure.
Sorry.
See you in a bit.
I screwed up.
Okay.
Same punch, please. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
She bit the inside of her cheek and glanced at Shal. Sure. See you in a bit. When she hung up, Shal rubbed his earlobe, staring down the hall, but his eyes moved as if he were looking at another place altogether. Remember the Maine. What the hell happened? I have no idea. Her hand was sweating as she slid the handheld back into her pocket. Should we...
After pocket. There we go.
Back into her pocket.
One more time.
There we go.
Back into her pocket.
Should we split up? One of us keeps looking and the other goes to see Halden? No. Sighing, he turned back to face the concierge. Sorry about that, Auber. Hang on. One of the troubles with a real dog is that they shed, and the only thing that saved Tesla's home from being covered in poofs of white fur was a robot vacuum cleaner named Wilbur. A puff of white fur lay in the corner behind the door that Aubrey had opened for them. Shal was already halfway to the door before Tesla started moving. When she got there, he was kneeling, head bent to study without touching anything. Gimlet's fur clung to a torn scrap of dark blue fabric. Oh, good girl, Shal muttered. Server blue. What? Tesla scrolled through her memory of the other ship's staff and realized that every server wore the same blue trousers. Trust her spouse to notice textiles. Oh. Yes, oh. He glanced up at Aubrey. Could you please call Officer Piper? I think we may have found our murderer's second mistake. Second? The first is that Halden Kuznetsova is still alive. Which was all good, except for the part where Gimlet had chased someone who wasn't shy about killing people. What would they do to a small dog? Dun, dun, dun.
Let's see here.
I assume you want to cut the dun-dun-dun, and we can leave it.
I'm cutting the dun-dun-dun. I love it, but I'm gonna take it out. Let me listen to one quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Server blue. Shall muttered.
Server blue.
Oh. After what I wrote to. That's okay. Oh, right. Good for me. Just heard a little noisy noise after what? Ah,
Okay.
there we go. Okay. After small dog. Moving on. You good?
I am.
All right. I agree, Paul. Never mess with the dog. Here we go. Brainstorm.
To a small dog.
Brainstorm. 1.5 ounces bourbon, 1 ounce dry vermouth, 3/4 ounce Benedictine, orange peel. Stir ingredients over ice, strain into coupe. Garnish with twist of orange peel. After they'd turned the scrap over to Piper, there had been nothing for them to do, and yet the entire way down to sickbay to check on Halden, Tesla had a dragging sensation like she was going to the wrong place. The cramped beige, and also if they're going from Earth level to sickbay, which I've established is on Mars level, they would be going up to sickbay, not down.
Gotcha. So. And yet the entire way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll take it from and yet the entire way.
Okay.
Oh.
Nothing for them to do.
And yet the entire way up to sickbay to check on Halden, Tesla had a dragging sensation like she was going to the wrong place. The cramped beige corridors did not help with her sense of being trapped. Or maybe it was just that the butter knife that had been emerging from her spine was developing serrations. Tesla plucked at the fabric of her new courtesy mask as they walked. Her scalp itched under the cheap souvenir captain's hat she'd jammed over her hair, but between that and the cane, no one had noticed her yet. No one had yet noticed her.
She jammed. Let me just listen to that.
Okay.
That's fine. So after
Great.
over her hair, here we go.
Jammed over her hair.
But between that and the cane, no one had yet noticed her. She hadn't wanted to take time to do either thing, but it was that or be trapped again. Shal held the door to sickbay for her as they entered the cramped beige lobby with its 3 cramped beige chairs. Bob occupied the same chair as before, camped outside the same door, which was now clearly Halden's. He looked up from his handheld and grunted. "Bob!" Shal grinned at the man. "It's been ages. I'm surprised you aren't still upstairs investigating with the rest. Don't tell me. I know you can't anyway, but you had the same thought we did, right?"
You have to ask Chief Weiser about any thoughts.
Shal snapped his fingers and pointed at Bob. "See, I knew you'd have to say that."
See, I knew you'd have to say that.
And pointed at Bob.
"See, I knew..." One more time.
And pointed at Bob.
"See, I knew you'd have to say that. Blink twice if you had the same thought."
I don't have any thoughts.
Well, that was clear. And as much as she wanted to make a snarky comment, Tesla tried to stay on course. She took the courtesy mask off. "May we talk to Halden and see how he's doing?"
I'm supposed to guard him.
"Sure, we get that. I get that. Someone gets it. Everybody gets it, really. I mean, it's all fine."
Here we go. Sure.
Supposed to guard him.
"Sure, I get that." Shal looked around the tiny room, fully half of which was filled with the wall of Bob, even seated, as if checking for spies. "The thing is, Halden asked us to come." Bob looked at them for longer than strictly necessary to make a decision, and then unfolded out of his chair, filling the tiny room with a new wall. He opened the door, blocking the entrance with his body, and leaned his head in.
Crane and Stewart are here. You want to see them?
Raising a brow, Tesla looked at Shal. Crane and Stewart could be a nice name for a detective agency. He snorted. "Retired? No." With a finger raised, he shook his head. "No, none of this counts. You never let your license lapse." He leaned over and kissed her on the cheek. "Clearly, I need to do a better job of distracting you from..." Bob stepped to the side of the door and pushed it the rest of the way open. Stuffing himself back into the beige chair, he picked up his handheld again.
Keep the door open.
"Sure, sure." Shal's curls fell across his forehead as he beckoned to Tesla and went through the open door. She followed Shal into the tiny room, where Halden lay propped in.
After tiny room. Here we go.
Into the tiny room.
Where Halden lay propped in the hospital bed. He was pale and gray under the harsh lights and struggled to sit up as they came in. Halden grabbed the remote and powered the back of his bed higher for support.
Thank you for coming.
Waving a hand at his handheld. Just gonna say waving at his handheld because also I'm not entirely certain what he'd be waving if it wasn't his hand.
Right.
Waving his head at his handheld. Waving his elbow at his handheld.
Waving his nose.
Waving his nose.
Wiggling his ear in a handhelderly direction.
Yes.
After thank you for coming. Here we go.
Thank you for coming.
Waving at his handheld, which lay on the bed, he grimaced.
Sorry I was forceful earlier.
As much as she wanted to agree with him, she was talking to a man who had been stabbed and nearly died. If anyone on the ship had the right to be forceful, it was him. Tesla laid her hand on the rail of his bed. "You sound better." He winced and rested a hand on the bandage peeking out from beneath his hospital gown. The other arm was swathed.
The other arm. Let's see here. The other hand. The other arm. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
His hospital gown.
The other arm was swathed in nanogen tape and lay across his lap.
I am making a note not to make calls while coming out of anesthesia.
From experience, I can confirm that it's best avoided. Don't buy or sell anything this week either, FYI. She hesitated, not wanting to ask him to exert himself at all, but Gimlet. And he had asked them to come here. Did you want to tell us what you saw when you were attacked?
I already told...
I already told. Here we go.
You were attacked?
I already told Weiser everything I could, which wasn't a lot. At least they're finally taking me seriously.
Alden thumped his head back against the pillow and glared at the ceiling.
No one laughed this time.
Shal nodded. Good. I'm glad.
The trouble is that they won't share information with us. I hate to ask you to repeat yourself, but it was dark. There wasn't a lot to see.
He sighed, grimacing.
The lights went out as the door opened, so all I really saw was a hand moving. They were wearing a blue glove, so I don't even have a skin tone for you.
Tesla drummed her fingers on the bed rail. There's a technique I use sometimes.
Let's see here. So I don't even have skin tone. I think you said have a skin tone.
Okay.
So I can take it from they were wearing.
Okay.
And moving.
They were wearing a blue glove, so I don't even have skin tone for you.
Wait 1 sec.
Mm-hmm.
After rail. So theirs is where we're starting.
It was on the bed rail.
There's a technique I use sometimes to focus. 5 things I see, 4 things I hear, 3 things I touch, 2 things I smell, 1 thing I taste. Teal hair limp across his forehead, Halden turned to her, frowning.
I see. So you're thinking if I focus on the glove, is that right? Like a hypnosis regression thing?
Waggling her hand, Tesla shrugged. If it helps to think of it that way? Like, the hand was attached to something. It was moving in a direction. It was holding the scissors in a grip.
Got it.
He swallowed and closed his eyes, brows coming together in concentration. Wetting his lips, he swallowed again.
Blue nitrile glove. Black cuff? Coming straight at me. No. Up a little. They were shorter than I am. Sounds. Dog barks.
Tesla's heart.
Tesla's heart. Let's go back and get one quick drop out. Limp.
Okay.
Teal hair limp across his forehead is the phrase I need, please.
Got it.
Okay, here we go.
Thing I taste.
Teal hair limp across his forehead.
Thank you. where we were. After dog barks. Here we go.
Dog barks.
Tesla's heart clenched. Gimlet. With his eyes still closed, Halden cocked his head to the side as if he were listening.
A grunt or pant, kind of a oomph.
Sorry. He raised the pitch of his voice when he made the sound as if he were remembering, so maybe I should do that. I don't know, just as a, since I put stage directions in. Writer Mary Robinette thinking that she knows what she's doing. Narrator.
Here we go.
As if he were listening.
A grunt or pant, kind of a
oomph. He raised the pitch of his voice when he made the sound, as if he were remembering an alto or soprano.
Metal clicking, like a door latch, or maybe an instrument case. Footsteps running to my right.
Toward the service corridor, or to the service cart that had been parked partway down the hall. Tesla glanced at Shal, who listened, balanced forward over his toes.
Touch.
His face twisted, grimacing as if he were
Grimacing, so I'll pick it up. Service door. You said service corridor.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All we need is that little phrase, toward the service door. Here we go.
To my right.
Toward the service door.
Thank you. So, after his face twisted, here we go.
His face twisted.
As
Here we go.
His face twisted.
Grimacing as if he were remembering being stabbed, and his hand grazed the bandage on his arm.
I tried to block. Oh, they had a solid bosom. When I put my hand up to block, their chest didn't give much. And ropes? Fringe? I'm not sure.
Shal's head came up, head cocking to the side as he watched Halden. Tesla tried to figure out what had caught her spouse's attention by imagining the scene based on what Halden was saying. The assailant trying to stab him, but Halden blocking, then stabbing again. Why the rope, though? Were they going to tie him up? Or was it fringe from a costume or clothing?
Smell. Dog and...
His eyes pinched more tightly closed.
Bourbon? I didn't taste anything.
Unless you were licking the walls, I would have been surprised if there had been anything with the last. Halden's eyes opened with something like triumph in them.
That was more than I thought I remembered. Thank you.
Hey, trauma therapy can have unexpected side benefits. Tesla looked at Shal before Halden could ask her any questions about the specifics of the trauma. How about you? Do you have any questions?
If he has the energy, yeah.
Shal had settled into himself.
Shal head, here we go.
Yeah.
Shal had settled into himself, watching Halden with an easy calm.
I want to know about Remember the Maine.
The triumph wiped away and Halden's face went dead.
I don't want to talk about it.
Shal shrugged and took a step back from the bed.
All right. I'm sure the ship's security will keep you safe for the rest of the cruise. Wait!
He reached for them, stopping with a hiss.
Wait. Bob?
The wall of Bob filled the door.
Yeah. Close the door and give me some private time with these two?
The wall shrugged.
Okay.
He shut the door and Shal whistled.
How'd you get him trained so quickly? Technically, I own the ship, and he's been very cooperative since I pointed that out.
I imagine he has. Shal raised his right eyebrow and was dangerously handsome as he leaned against the wall, facing Halden. Crossing his arms over his chest, he nodded to the man in the hospital bed. Remember the Maine. Halden grimaced and wiped his hands down his face, then stayed for a moment, with his face covered and tension in his shoulders.
I don't want to talk about it, but I will.
Swallowing, he sighed and lowered his hands.
With you, not with Weiser. He's an idiot.
Tesla would not argue with him there. Shal nodded slowly and waited. After a moment, staring across the small room,
Halden said, Please remember that college kids are stupid. I would not do any of these things now, but I did. The misspelling was intentional. The main refers to a power main.
Tesla had a sudden chilling sensation that she knew where this story was going. She had tapped into more than one main in her life and had yet to screw it up because she was slow and careful. If you screwed up, your best-case scenario was getting blown across the room.
Speaking in hypotheticals, if a group of college kids were running an experiment using
Sorry, I hear a noise in the background. Is that a dog?
Oh, I didn't.
Barking a couple times or something. Listen again.
I did not. Helix might have borked.
Yeah. I heard it. No, it's definitely a dog barking from farther away.
Oh, weird. I totally did not hear it.
Sounds like rain.
Gimlet! Gimlet!
Let's see here. Sorry to stop you. We need to go back and get.
What time were we stopping? Was it 12 or 12:30 today?
After because she was slow, so pick it up and careful. But we need to go back and get one thing first. Okay. I'm sure the ship.
And what time? Okay.
I'm sure the ship security will keep you safe for the rest of the cruise. Shal's line further up the page there. In fact, quite a bit further up the page. 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs to the top. For top of the first line of the paragraph on page 243.
Okay, got it.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
I'm sure the ship security will keep you safe for the rest of the cruise.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What time were we stopping today?
I have until 12:30 your time.
Okay, great.
Yep. Right. Great, and then we're going to pick it up after. I'd yet to screw it up because she was slow. We're going to pick up with and careful.
Okay.
So it's top of 244, third line from the top.
Got it.
Here we go.
Because she was slow.
And careful. If you screwed up, your best-case scenario was getting blown across the room.
Speaking in hypotheticals, if a group of college kids were running an experiment using university equipment and kept blowing the fuse in the lab, they might decide to tap into the main.
He swallowed and looked down, face grayer than it had been.
That might go badly.
How badly might that go? Hypothetically.
A fire.
In the silence, Tesla flicked open her HUD and did a fast search on fires at Halden's alma mater, focused on the years he was attending. There were multiple fires because college kids will college, but no mention of Halden, Ruth, or Saikawa. Kuznetsova was an extremely wealthy family. Property damage would have just been paid for. He would have gotten a slap on the wrist. She looked at Halden. Who died? Halden flinched.
I didn't... Why do you think someone died?
Because when I was in college, Daddy would have paid off property. I also need to put Halden, Ruth, Leo, or George, I think is actually what it should be.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Let's see here, let me find my spot. No mention, yeah.
Okay.
Here we go, just that phrase.
College kids will college.
But no mention of Halden, Ruth, Leo, or George.
Thank you. Here we go. Why do you think someone died? Here we go.
Okay. You think someone died? You think someone died?
Because when I was in college, Daddy would have paid off property damage. She narrowed the search again, looking for deaths. Willem Monroe? Freshman? He froze, and she could see panic beating at his temples. Halden closed his eyes, pressing a hand over his mouth as if he were about to vomit. Lifting his hand to cover his eyes, Halden cleared his throat.
Where did you get that name?
A search on your alma mater and fires, looking for ones on campus with a fatality? She softened her voice. Who was he? He was silent long enough that she thought he might not answer. Shal shifted his weight by the door, eyes darting from the man across the man.
Eyes darting.
His weight by the door.
One more time.
I got a note to myself to check a punch. Great. Okay. So after Shal shifted his weight by the door. Here we go.
Shal shifted his weight by the door.
Eyes darting across the man as if he were measuring his reaction. When Halden lowered his hand, his eyes were red and damp with brimming tears. He looked at Tesla.
You know what this is like. I was going to step into a decision-making role at a massive corporation, and people were already trying to impress me. I was too stupid to tell him no. And he died.
Shal pursed his lips.
Who knew you were there? I didn't think anyone did.
Halden picked at the bandage on his shoulder.
It was me, Ruth, George, and Leo. And Willem. Okay.
Shal tapped a finger against his arm, then nodded and pushed away from the wall.
I'll recommend that they keep you here with a guard for safety. Where? Aren't you going to stay here?
Halden sat up, wincing as the movement pulled at the bandage on his shoulder.
Bob will take care of you. Just tell him not to let anyone in.
Shal pulled the door open.
Bob, sweetheart, don't let anyone in to talk to Halden, okay?
Tesla paused before leaving Halden's bed. She couldn't tell him that everything would be okay because that was obviously not the case. We'll be in touch. He nodded, sinking back into the pillows. She had a moment of thinking that she should leave Gimlet with him before the memory that her dog was missing stabbed her sideways through the gut. Steadying.
Steadying, here we go.
Through the gut.
Steadying herself with her cane, Tesla followed Shal out of the hospital room. He looked back at her and smiled fondly, reaching for her hand.
You are brilliant. I'm keeping the 5 senses trick.
I thought you were retired. She leaned in to kiss the dimple that appeared when he laughed. Running her thumb down the side of his hand, she asked, "I saw you perk up during the touch memories, but didn't know why." "Rope or fringe?" Shal made a gesture toward his shoulders, like maybe an officer's epaulettes. The weight of 2 memories bore down on Tesla, and stopped her.
The weight. There we go. Check punch. Okay, great. So here we go. The weight.
His epaulettes.
The weight of 2 memories bore down on Tesla and stopped her in the hall. Her grip on Shal's hand half turned him toward her. The captain doesn't have epaulettes. No one on the bridge crew did, and low gravity, fringe didn't make sense. It's not rope or fringe, it's hair. Locks. Emmanuel Radowski, the waiter who was in the karaoke lounge, has long blue locks. She could see Shal turning through his own memories. He slowly nodded and pulled her forward. Wrapping an arm around her back, Shal pressed in for a deep, long, extremely detailed kiss. "I love your brain so very, very much." She ran her tongue across his lips and twined her fingers in his hair. "So, what's our next move?" "Honestly, I was just kissing you." Laughing, she broke apart from him to look at his face, black eye and all. "I love you so much." He grinned, going completely goofy around the edges. "I love you too." But seriously, she raised her courtesy mask. "Do we call Maria? Do we call Piper?"
Do we call? Yep. Let's see here. I'm curious.
Hmm?
Why? All right, we can do this. Okay. Oh. It's. It says live stream currently offline, although I do see it playing back, so I don't know why it would say that. But I've noticed that no one's commented in a while. But I assume that if that was the case, that Alessandra would have texted me. I hear you, and I hear me. There they are. They're there. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. After courtesy mask, then. Do we call Piper?
Oops, hang on.
Mr. Courtesy Mask.
I'm not there, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Mr. Courtesy Mask.
Do we call Piper? But seriously, I'm not sure. He took her hand and bent his head in thought as they walked through the corridors leading out of sickbay. She let him think, steering them as his sleuthing face got sharpened.
Steering him. Here we go.
She let him think.
Steering them as his sleuthing face sharpened while he worked through scenarios. The ship got progressively more polished until they were back on the main promenade. They walked past one of the potted...
They walked. Here we go.
The main promenade.
They walked past one of the potted ficus trees, and Tesla's heart wrenched a little, remembering how much Gimlet loved sniffing them. She stopped. Shal went a step past her and turned. Something? The tree was in a white clapboard box that was broader at the top than the base, with a lip around the top that kept it from being pushed all the way up against the wall. Could Gimlet fit behind there? Maybe. He tilted his head.
You're thinking about the way she hides under things when she's scared?
Tesla nodded and walked over to the planter. Grabbing the edge of it, she started to lower herself to her knees so she could look behind it. Shal caught her arm. Hey, let me do that. Getting off the floor isn't any easier for you right now. He opened his mouth and then grimaced. No, but it won't add to my damage, and it might yours. She tightened her grip and sank to the ground. Besides, I have the DBPS. And practice? He grumbled, shoving his hands in his pocket. I didn't hear that. Tesla put one hand on the wall and carefully braced herself to look behind the planter.
I said that I love you very much.
Uh-huh. Gimlet could fit back there, but a discarded piece of cookie made it clear she hadn't been here.
But a discarded? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Could fit back there.
But a discarded piece of cookie made it clear she hadn't been here. Tesla squinted down the hall, trying to look under others.
Tesla squinted. Here we go.
Clear she hadn't been here.
Tesla squinted down the hall, trying to look under others, but the curve of the floor got in the way. Getting back to her feet, even with the DBPS, was not fast. Shal's hands were visibly clenched into fists, but he waited while she steadied herself with the planter and her cane. He sighed.
Do you know how hard it is to not help?
I'm very proud of you.
Are you going to check all of the planters?
Not all. She took his arm.
She took, here we go, after not all.
Not all.
She took his arm, walking with him into the transit corridor. Gimlet would be fine. They would find her.
Can I borrow your handheld?
Shal stepped nimbly onto the moving sidewalk. Calling your BFF? She followed a step behind, leaning against the handrail.
Yep.
Tesla pulled the handheld out of her pocket and waggled it at him. You don't think she's been lying to us? Oh, no, that's the wrong read on that.
Okay. You don't think. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Waggled it at him.
You don't think she's been lying to us?
Oh, sure. That's my default assumption for everyone.
Shrugging, he took the handheld and didn't bother to unroll it to place the call.
But she's very clear about where the boundaries are, which makes her lies more reliable than other people's.
And yet you...
Maria, tell me how much you love me. No, wait. You'll need to revise your opinion upward in a moment. We have new information about Emmanuel Radowski.
Leaning next to Tesla, he put his arm around her and winked.
Talk to Halden. What? No, I'm not questioning your witness. He asked us to come. Ask Bob. He'll back me up.
Whatever she said made Shal tilt his head back and laugh, then hiss and pinch his eyes shut. Tesla put her hand on his arm.
I'm fine. No, I'm fine.
But his voice was a little strained.
Anyway, Halden mentioned that when he was attacked, he felt two things about his attacker. A solid chest and locks. Who does that make you think of?
Grinning, he turned and planted a kiss on Tesla's cheek.
Us too. Uh-huh. What? What's that? You're breaking up. Listen, I can't hear you, so we'll just meet you at the kitchen.
Shal hung up and turned the handheld off. Tesla raised her eyebrows. Speaking of everyone lies...
Emmanuel is still on room service duty. He's moving about the ship, but will have to return to the Terran-level main kitchen.
His grin broadened.
It's really too bad that I couldn't hear Maria clearly. She said something, go there.
Okay, I am pausing to fix a typo that I spotted. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Orbital decay.
I made this one up.
Thing go.
It's tasty.
I figured you might have. I like it. Here we go.
Thing go there.
Orbital decay. 1 ounce Lafroig, 1 ounce red vermouth, 1 ounce Aperol, orange peel. Stir ingredients over ice for 40 seconds. Strain into coupe. Garnish with flamed orange peel. The door to the kitchen area was closed, and they didn't have an access badge to get through it. While Shao peeled the door apart with his bare hands.
Well, Shao, here we go.
To get through it.
While Shao peered through the round door in the window. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Here we go.
To get through it.
While Shao peered through the round door.
Here we go.
To get through it.
While Shao peered through the round window in the door, looking for Piper, Tesla turned to scan the hall for a service drone. They'd passed a handful on the way here, along with live servers hurrying under the weight of a tray. She pulled off her courtesy mask. "Let me know when you see a drone coming this way?" He glanced back at her, brows coming together with curiosity. "Yes, I mean, one is coming now. But the doors are only going to open wide enough for it." "True, but..." She stood.
Brows together with curiosity. You said brows coming together.
Okay, thank you.
I just need that phrase. Here we go.
He glanced back at her.
Brows together with curiosity.
Thank you. Okay. So she stood. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
But
She stood to the side of the hall with the cane in one hand, mask dangling from the end like a flag. There's a trick. When the doors slid open to let the drone out, Tesla lowered her cane in front of one of its forward sensors so that the courtesy mask.
After sensors. Here we go.
forward sensors.
So the courtesy mask blinded it. The drone turned to avoid the apparent obstacle. And, like magic, the doors opened wider to accommodate the angle of the machine. She slid the improvised blocker to the other eye, and the drone turned the other direction, making a gap between itself and one door. Shal slipped through, and she was right on his heels into a steaming bath of sound and heat. The sliding door clipped her elbow as she released the drone.
The sliding door.
Sound and heat.
The sliding door clipped her elbow as she released the drone, but it wasn't a hard hit. Probably.
Sorry, let's do that again. The service drone. Here we
Okay.
go.
Sound and heat.
The sliding door clipped her elbow as she...
Sound and heat.
The sliding door clipped her elbow as she released the service drone, but it wasn't a hard hit. Probably. She checked the settings on her DBPS and decided that they were fine, for now. Shal had stepped to the side of the door, pressing against the wall of the large service area, trying to stay out of the way of drones and live servers. They moved with hurried efficiency, plating food and carrying it away. 2 other doors led out to different corridors, and on the wall directly opposite them, a large window opened onto the kitchen proper. Blazing lights lit a large room full of stainless steel, induction stoves, and chefs in white hats. A melange of a melange. It's a little.
A melange. Yep, here we go.
In white hats.
A melange of. I'm anticipating the Icelandic coming up, and.
Gotcha. Here we go.
In white hats.
A melange of aromas blended everything from the spiced cuisine of New Jamaica Station to briny lunar aquaculture, with stops on Frigyarhop for rye and caraway, and Estación de Ganymedes for something?
Yes, sorry. Melded and Estación. Sorry, I thought we were going to... Yeah. Same punch, please. Sorry,
Okay.
we missed the melded and I stopped because I thought we were stopping, but here we go.
It's in white hats.
Okay. A melange of aromas blended...
It's in white hats.
A melange of aromas melded everything from the spiced cuisines of New Jamaica Station to briny lunar aquaculture, with stops on Frigyarhop for rye and caraway. I am going to double check that. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but...
Okay.
It is a place I made up, but the last thing of it is, it's all real words. It's just a composite. And I say I made it up.
Right.
That is not correct. Hildur Nutsdottir helped me come up with that.
Let me know when you're ready.
Almost. Oh, stop it. I just want that.
Hup.
Hup. Yep.
Hup.
Yep. Icelandic is so weird. So I
Yeah.
was correct, so we're fine.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, got to meet the speakers again. Okay.
Uh-huh. Can we take it after aquaculture though? Because we did. It wasn't smooth.
No, I was,
the name.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Aquaculture.
With stops on Frigyarhop.
Aquaculture.
With, oh, no, I was correct. Sorry, I'm fine.
Here we go.
Aquaculture.
With stops on Frigyarhop for rye and caraway, and Estación de Ganymedes for heat. Ganymedes.
Take a listen. It sounds like you add an extra A sound, but it could be the Icelandic.
With stops on Frigyarhop for rye and caraway.
I thought it sounded like
Where
for
are
a
you hearing
rye
the
and
A?
caraway. After
Oh, okay.
for a rye.
You may be correct.
Okay. Let me see if I can get it after hop. No, it's all blended together. Same punch, please. Sorry.
Yep.
Aquaculture.
With stops on Frigyarhop for rye and caraway, and Estación de Ganymedes for heat from Mexicanix residents. Let me smooth that out, sorry.
Okay. The Anastation, that part.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
I and Caraway.
And Estación de Ganamides.
There we go.
I and Caraway.
And Estación de Ganamides for. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
I and Caraway.
And Estación de Ganamides for heat from Mexicanics residents, not settlers. For fuck's sake, Mary Robinette. One more time.
Yep, here we go.
I and Caraway.
And Estación de Ganamides for heat from Mexicanics residents. She sidestepped to avoid a server with a tray who was heading to the door on her left. The server did a double take, but didn't stop moving. Shal grinned at her, and back at the door they'd come through. Pretty slick. She shook her head. It's pretty kludgy, but it worked to get me out of boarding school, so I'm happy it's still a useful exploit. Is that a known thing? And I'm wondering if we should actually come back in on his line of dialogue, because that's...
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Let me ask, Kendra was wondering about Ganymedes as opposed to Ganymedes, but I figured it was lunar Spanish, so whatever you decide it was. Okay, Ganymedes.
Yeah, Ganymedes.
Let's see here. Let me.
Actually, I haven't done this.
Would it be Medes? I don't know. I didn't bother me. Ganymedes.
Ganymedes.
I didn't hear it as wrong, but I'm not a Spanish speaker, so just have listened to a lot. Okay, do you want to get it?
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
I and Caraway.
And Estación de Ganymedes. No, it's fine. It's perfect. Okay. One more time.
Here we go.
I and Caraway.
And Estación de Ganymedes for heat from Mexicanics residents.
Great. And then,
Okay.
yeah, I think that is... Oh, I had one other question. CLUDGY. I looked that up. I don't... Is it the cludge? You said kludgy? Yep. I'm familiar with the word kludgy, which is usually spelled with a K, which means, kind of a not great solution to something. But I'm not familiar with the kludgy one. And kludgy is not on Forvo or Merriam-Webster.
But kludgy is with the K?
Kludgy with a K is under kludge, which is haphazard.
And it's
Go
with
ahead.
the long U, the oo sound?
It's a kludge, yep. A haphazard or makeshift solution to a problem, especially to a computer or programming problem.
Huh.
Kludgy, yep.
Interesting. I've only ever heard kludge, but I totally see what you were talking about.
Yeah, I've always heard it. Alessandra also thought it was kludgy. I've always heard it as a kludge. Like, how'd you fix that? Oh, it was a kludge, but blah, blah, blah. Because we do that a lot in audio.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson suggests it's future slang.
There you go. I like Chris Johnson.
He also says he understood what it meant even before we started talking about what this word is. And he didn't actually know this word. So he understood the context. He understood what it meant even before he'd know what it meant, yes. So It made the point, is what I think he was saying.
Yes. What we do know is that speakers of American English have agreed to disregard it in pronunciation, making the vowel pronunciation of kludge or kluge reflective of the German pronunciation. But this Merriam-Webster shows both pronunciations, I think.
Let's see it.
I'm just double checking because sometimes
I don't see it spelled. You mean under the K spelling or under the C spelling?
I'm just double checking. Hang on.
Okay.
Kluge.
Nope.
Klugey.
Klugey. But there's the upside down E. How is that one done? Really? I don't know if kluf is correct, but
Schwa.
schwa.
I don't know.
Yeah, the schwa sound is pronounced like ah. So kludge would be. Kludge doesn't make sense. How do you pronounce this? Oh, for crying out loud. I should just say it kludge and not worry about it, since there's definitely, it's just like, I've never heard it said that way.
Yeah.
Is called the schwa. Do you know what a schwa sounds like or how to pronounce it? In this class, you'll learn more about the schwa, how to recognize it, and how to pronounce it. The schwa sound is pronounced like this.
Kludge.
It's a very short, relaxed sound. Just open your mouth.
Saying it. And it is listed as an acceptable pronunciation in Merriam-Webster.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to stick with the way that I grew up saying it, which is kludgy. So
Sounds
there.
good to me. All right, let's. After useful exploit is where we're stopping on page 250. So.
But I am going to fix the spelling.
Okay. Page 250. And then I guess you're picking this up tomorrow morning. Is that correct?
Yes. And we just have a short day because
yes,
of reasons previously mentioned.
I said that, and then I remembered that I had an appointment that I can't cancel that is at 9 a.m. my time, which is 10 a.m. your time, which means we wouldn't actually have much time. So maybe we should just
call it and not do it tomorrow?
Yeah, break until Monday.
Okay.
Sorry. I had tried to move it around, but I could not.
No. Don't worry about it. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm going to return you to your light jazz, and then we will see you. Some of you I will see this evening at the Astronaut Training Center for the 70th anniversary of the Meteor Gala. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.